How long can people suffer at the hands of corruption before their neighbors must act? At what point must we call a state fueled by corruption a failed state? How long can we allow the current circumstances in Lebanon to continue? The voices of the Lebanese people have risen and their plea is clear. We need honest, open leadership. The rampant corruption governing Lebanon is known the world over. It's very reason we are gathered here today. There is no blight currently inflicting pain upon the Lebanese people whose source cannot somehow trace to outright corruption. There is no refugees who return home wouldn't be hastened if the Lebanese government were free, undue influence, and transparent. Refugees from other nations living on the Lebanese soil are awaiting the day that they are no longer used as pawns in the age-old conflicts that have long affected the Middle East. That day will not come until real change is enforced, not merely enacted. The Security Council has taken the first steps by adopting resolutions 1559, 1680, and 1701. Resolution 1559 and Resolution 1680 support the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Lebanese borders, and Resolution 1701 is meant to address on the ongoing hostility between Lebanon and Israel. These resolutions have not been successfully implemented, which is clear due to the lack of a clear and consistent government. The Prime Minister, having abruptly resigned in January of 2020 and has not yet been replaced, the borders are weak at the best. Weapons and supplies are regularly smuggled across the Syrian borders in both directions, and the Lebanese economy is in downward spiral due to mismanagement, embezzlement, and corruption. Lebanon's parliament has also taken its first steps to combat these terrible crimes by establishing the mandate for a national anti-corruption commission in September of 2020, a commission that has been 11 years in the making and has not yet to be filled. So these first steps are those of a toddler. One step and then a fall to the ground. The Lebanese people are falling now. What remains to be seen is will they be able to get back up again and whether they will fall backwards or on their faces. If the status quo remain unchanged in Lebanon, I believe the people's faces will continue to be pushed further into the sand. Since 2012, this once great nation has dropped 5 points on Transparency International's Corruption Perceptions Index scale, which uses 13 different data points to measure a country's level of corruption. Lebanon scored a 25 out of a possible 100, where 100 would be the least corruption and 0 the most. The lack of investigation into the explosions in Beirut in August of last year and the unwillingness of the government to prosecute those responsible for the plundering of our national banks are a blatant slap in the face to the Lebanese people. Current law provides the means necessary to make none, not even the Prime Minister, immune from corruption charges. Yet the current body of lawmakers seem unwilling, if not completely incapable, of utilizing the tools at their disposal to dispose of corrupt politicians. This condition of the Lebanese government and the state of the Lebanese people will remain unchanged, or only continue to worsen, until the forces from neighboring countries release the stranglehold they have over our leaders, until the teachings of Patriarch Rai are heard and embraced, situation will remain unchanged, unless his philosophy of active neutrality becomes the idiom of every Lebanese citizen worldwide, as well as every politician that holds office. There can be no hope of real progress. The highest offices and our neighboring nations are currently changing hands. Yet what remain unchanged are the ever-present conflicts in those countries. Conflicts which show no signs of an end in sight. Gaza is particularly still a great point of contention, as damage from recent attack has barely had time to be cleaned up, let alone forgotten. The only option left is diligently work to find resolutions for this issue without allowing ourselves to be swept up. We must not choose sides but find common ground. The Security Council and every ambassador of every nation should also adopt this core principle of active neutrality. The path to a brighter future for the Lebanese people have been laid out by the recent law enacted by Parliament. The principles that must be the foundation of Lebanon's future policies were forged by its ancestors and the framework for the international community to help achieve this noble goal has been delineated in the Security Council's Resolution 1559, 1680 and 1701. How much longer can the Lebanese people afford to wait for the government to act on those laws? How much longer can the countries of the Middle East afford to wait for Lebanon to be the oasis of peace and prosperity it is truly meant to be? How much longer can the world wait? The answer: we can wait no longer. Thank you.